Gypsy Blanchard posts a picture of her and allegedly Aurora, or actually a video rather. And I'm saying allegedly Aurora because I want you guys to look at this picture one more time and watch this video and tell me what you think. This is her and allegedly Aurora in the carrier, okay? That baby is older than 2 months. Look at her holding the head up and cooing. You don't coo at 2 months. Not like that. And look, she looks like there's a pet on her that she's not really like embracing. She's kind of like standoffish, like she doesn't see this baby all the time. Y'all, I know y'all see that. Don't act like you don't see that. Oh my gosh, as she stuck her lizard tongue out. The baby in that carrier and this baby do not look as if it is the same baby. This video and this picture are less than 3 days apart. The baby looks older than 2 months, and a premature baby at that was born 4 to 5 weeks early is cooing at 2 months. I don't know, y'all. Something just doesn't seem right. I feel like she's trying to scam again. But I mean, she's grifted her whole life and scammed the whole life and cosplayed her whole life. Why would we believe what she's saying? And I don't know if y'all remember that at the book signing, she had a friend that was pregnant. That's all I'm going to say. Guess who showed up on our TV screens last night? Y'all already know, Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Kenyatta. This was literally a snooze fest. I am going to have a hard time making content about this show because of the fact that I don't feel like it was interesting. I think that there wasn't enough dialogue in there, and the chemistry is clearly horrible. I mean, Ken looks like he's sitting at a slumber party waiting on some Capri Suns and to get his nails painted white. And Gypsy just looks like she's having a whole meltdown about whatever she's having a meltdown about, because she's always having a meltdown and she wants public sympathy. And I think Lifetime wants us to give her that, which we're not for. They were at the therapist, and the therapist looked like she doesn't handle crisis issues. Like she was overwhelmed and didn't know what to do. And Ken was looking like this the whole time. Ken looked like, if you could make me Wi-Fi Lord, please, so I could disconnect. He looked like he was cringing every time she spoke. And I want to make it very clear, she has said multiple times in this show and also on the Nick Viles show that she doesn't want him to be there for just a baby and she can pretty much raise the baby on her own. Why would you think that she would continually say that? Obviously, something has been happening that she hasn't been transparent about, because nobody repeats something that's not an issue. It's obviously been an issue. I said what I said, y'all. I don't know if we're going to be able to watch this, because I feel like this is a show we might be watching it, but the TV going to be watching us sleep, child, because this was a snoozer. Good news for Wendy Williams, so I want you guys to watch this. I'm so excited because, I love me some Wendy, and it's looking good for her. So drop your comments down below. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Wendy Williams has 2 investigations looking into her conservatorship. Sources connected to Wendy Williams told TMZ that Wendy just had an interview with Adult Protective Services, which also has made phone calls to people close to Wendy, asking about her living conditions in the New York assisted living facility where she's trapped in. One of the family members that talked to Adult Protective Services is Wendy Williams' niece, Alex, and they were asking her a slew of questions relating to various restrictions that have been placed on her in the guardianship. In addition to the Adult Protective Services Services, police also paid Wendy Williams a visit at the facility as a part of a welfare check. And Wendy Williams, through people close to her, have asked both the New York Police Department and Adult Protective Services to launch an investigation into her guardianship. And Wendy Williams got even bigger news today. She's one step closer to freedom because a psychiatrist examined her Monday, and the results are clear that Wendy Williams' mental capacity is fully intact. Wendy Williams scored a 10 out of 10 on her psych exam called a capacity test. She was asked 10 questions to determine if she was alert and oriented, and she answered every one correctly. The results of her capacity test will be forwarded to the judge in the guardianship case. We can also assume that all of this is going to be used in the lawsuit that Wendy Williams' guardian, Sabrina Morsey, filed against A&E for the Where is the Wendy Williams documentary. And as of right now, this is the only court case with Wendy Williams somehow tied in that you can see publicly. Wendy Williams' guardian, Sabrina Morsey, has shut down any court documents dealing with her guardianship to the public, so you are unable to read those. Now, when Wendy Williams came out very publicly and said that she doesn't have dementia, she doesn't want involved in this court case with Lifetime and A&E over this documentary, Sabrina Morsey, her guardian, actually said, "Oh, well, I want to put this on stay because Wendy Williams is saying she doesn't have dementia. So let's get her evaluations and then we'll see how we want to proceed with this case." Now, A&E is saying, yes, we want Wendy Williams to get a medical evaluation because the only reason that you're bringing on this lawsuit is because you were the one saying that Wendy Williams was mentally incapacitated to sign off to do this documentary.
And it's not only that. In these court documents, A&E is alleging that Sabrina Morsey knew about this the whole time, and she was only mad at this documentary because it painted her in a bad light because we saw Wendy Williams drinking while in this guardianship. So that means that the guardian was not really taking care of Wendy Williams.
We heard Wendy Williams say it herself. This is when the talks that Wendy Williams had dementia started, during all of this lawsuit mess. And since Wendy Williams said all of this, and she also said that she didn't want any part of this lawsuit and that she wanted to do this documentary and she doesn't have dementia and she's not impaired, and he was like, yeah, we want that because guess what? If Wendy Williams is not incapacitated, we can use her in discovery. And baby, I'm absolutely loving this for the Guardian. Not only does she have investigations being launched into her, Wendy Williams' medical evaluations are coming back clear, and also A&E is smacking down saying, baby, you are about to pay us for putting us through this lawsuit. A&E says it's important to emphasize that the evaluation is not just a formality. Given Wendy Williams' recent statements in the press, it is essential to aid in determining whether and how Wendy Williams can participate in this litigation, including discovery. These results will provide the court and the parties with an updated, medically informed basis for determining whether the case should proceed and under whose direction, and in what capacity Wendy Williams can engage in discovery and other aspects of the case. And they are saying until these questions are answered, they don't want to proceed with discovery because Wendy Williams not being incapacitated would be huge for A&E. It would expose the Guardian that much more and all the sneaky stuff that she's doing, but it would also help Wendy Williams a lot because it would also prove Wendy Williams' case about her only wanting money. A&E says the defendants criticized the Guardian for inappropriately describing factual basis for a motion to stay, including relevant facts regarding Wendy Williams' evident incapacity. While the defendants may not like being informed on the intensive evidence of Wendy Williams' obvious incapacity, a record that makes clear the shocking nature and extent of their misconduct. The whole purpose of this case, as with any litigation, is to shine light on their misconduct and hold them to account. Defendants suggest the Guardian glossed over Wendy Williams' recent statements in the press is equally strange given that the Guardian is who brought on those statements in the court's attention. Right now, everything is looking so good for Wendy Williams, and I honestly couldn't be happier. I can't wait to see Wendy Williams living her best life and hopefully even on a podcast because, baby, I would love Wendy Williams to get back in the public eye and just hear what she has to say. And it's time for everybody to be held responsible that locked Wendy Williams up and treats her worse than what an incarcerated person in jail is treated. And we want this to start with the Guardian, Sabrina Morsey. And it's still free Wendy Williams until we watch her step out of that assisted living facility, and she's actually let free from this guardianship. But everything's looking on the up and up, and honestly, I think this is the best news that we've ever heard for Wendy Williams. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Do you all remember the pew pew out I was in, not this past Saturday, the Saturday before? And the news articles were saying that it wasn't true, it didn't happen, but multiple people that were in different places or different parts heard the pew pew. And at one point I was like, I know I heard it. Maybe it was something else. Like, I kind of started gaslighting myself because it did seem off that the news wouldn't report it. But y'all, I saw this video today that just validated everything that I felt. Now, I knew for a fact I heard it. But when you don't see it in the news, you're like, it can't be true then. Like, you're conditioned to believe that the news is true. Anyway, y'all, watch this. Drop your comments down below. I'm so happy that we got out of there.
The incident in Dallas last weekend at the NCAA cheer competition was absolutely 100% not the result of two dads fighting and a pole dropping. It is insulting, it is ridiculous, it is absurd, and it is absolutely 100% not what happened. Varsity Sports, the Dallas PD, and the city of Dallas all want us to believe that it was just a little scuffle among a couple of dads, a pole fell, and we all just freaked out over nothing. They are lying. Over 30,000 people in that building, most of them heard gunshots. You can hear on the police scanner very clearly, suspect apprehended. Later on the same police scanner, you can hear them say they're in Hall E and the police have their eyes on the man with the shotgun. It was a pump shotgun in Hall E. The night before this happened, Dallas Police Department had a huge gang bust and arrested 8 very, very key players in the Crip gangs. The gang vowed immediate revenge. You should also keep in mind, this is not a safe part of Dallas. Shootings in this neighborhood are something that happens on a daily basis. So the idea that somebody shot a gun somewhere around that neighborhood is not that far-fetched. My daughter was in the building at the time. I was outside of the building about 2.5 blocks away. I got a message on my phone at 12:55 that people were running out of the Omni. People were running away from the Omni and Convention Center, and I ran towards it. Luckily, my daughter had her phone on her, and I was able to get to her at about 1:20, 1:25. At that point, it was just the beginning. People were running, scrambling. The police were coming in. The SWAT teams were running in armed. There was helicopters overhead. It was absolutely insane. And yet somehow the first article about this came out at 1:24, already saying some parents got in a fight and everyone freaked out. I know what you're saying. Why would there be such a conspiracy to cover up something like this? Why wouldn't there be? The city of Dallas owns the Omni Hotel. Dallas is hosting the World Cup in 2026. So they have billions of reasons to want everyone to think this was nothing but a bunch of cheerleaders and their crazy moms just freaking out because a pole dropped. I can't speak for everyone there, but I believe that there was not what we would call, unfortunately, we have a name for it in this country, an active shooter. There were gunshots fired. And meanwhile, Varsity sent everyone a letter saying it's so unfortunate that just 2 people could create such a scene. It wasn't just 2 people, Varsity. We all know that. And let's just say for a minute that's exactly what happened. A couple of dads got in a fight, a pole fell, and all hell broke loose. That is on you, Varsity. In fact, it was the Varsity staff that were going room to room saying there's a shooter, run for your lives. Does Dallas not have any serious investigative reporters? Does this country no longer care about the truth anymore? Why is no one digging into this? We may never know what really happened, but I can tell you it wasn't a bunch of people freaking out because a pole fell. And the pole that allegedly fell was almost a mile away from where the noise was heard. The news also is reporting that 10 people were injured, where there's at least 10 girls on my daughter's team that are injured. There was hundreds and hundreds of injuries. This was a terrifying, horrific experience for thousands and thousands of athletes and their parents, and the fact that it's being blown off and downplayed is making me absolutely sick. It was a horrible, terrifying experience, and the more we downplay it, the harder it's going to be for these athletes to move on. Before I wrap this up, the other thing to note about the timing is that this building was not cleared until probably 1:30, 1:45, maybe even 2. And at 5 o'clock, we were notified that we could go back in the building starting at 7 to collect our belongings that were left behind. Which means from about 2 o'clock to 5, 3 hours, they completely investigated and scoured a 2 million square foot building. And by the way, we were there lined up at 7 to go in and get our belongings, and they still wouldn't let us in because the alarms were still going on and the bomb sniffing dogs were inside because it was a fresh bomb threat. I don't know what happened, and neither do you, but I do know that it was not poles falling. If you were there, put your experience in the comments, make your own post. We are not going to stop talking about this until we get the answers we deserve.
This is the first time I've seen someone that has actually had a description of the shooter.
All right, y'all, have a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop your comments down below because I would love to hear them. You know I always do. I hope you all are well, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye for now.